I'm going to introduce Tarak. I'm really sorry we don't have a bigger crowd. Because they did not miss out. Tarak is someone else I've worked with for a while.
Joe, could you use that microphone?
Yeah. I've worked with Tarak for a while, and I actually was on a conference phone call with him this afternoon. We were talking about stuff related to the coalition against U.S. foreign military bases, which we both work on. He is a veteran. He was in a U.S. Army paratrooper from 1959 to 1962. He's been in Vets for Peace for 11 or 12 years. He was on the national board for about 6 years. And he's the editor of Peace in Our Times, which is the quarterly newspaper. If you come to the Bethlehem Neighbors for Peace Vigil on Mondays from 5 to 6 out at Four Corners, one of our regular vigilers is a member of Vets for Peace, and when the new issue comes out, it comes out quarterly. He always brings us back and passes it out. So that's another incentive to come out to our vigil. He has organized for Vets for Peace delegations to Palestine, to Jeju Island, which is in South Korea, where there's a big movement against U.S. military bases there. He's been recently to Okinawa, which is what we're going to talk about here, and you'll see in the film some, where there's a huge movement against U.S. military bases, which are all over Okinawa, but they're trying to make a new Navy base there now. He was also helped organize delegations to Standing Rock to support the Native Americans protesting the pipeline there, and to Ferguson, Missouri, after the cop shootings that took place there. And he's organized demonstrations and other things. We were just discussing, I was at a demonstration he organized where probably 100 or 150 people got arrested. A lot of people got arrested at the White House. It was a very important demonstration. He's married to Ellen Davidson, who's a longtime political activist that many people know. And another fact about Tarak is for 20 years he was a marathon runner. In fact, he ran through the entire United States, kind of like Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump just went from one shore to the next shore. Tarak ran through each of the 50 states, about 9,000 miles. So, if you ever want to chase him, you probably won't catch him. So anyway, here's Tarak.
Well, thanks, Joe, and thank you, Trudy. Thank Bethlehem Neighbors for Peace. You're a great organization. And thanks you guys for coming. I'm going to count each one of you as 25. Okay, so we have a really good crowd. So what we're going to talk about tonight is Okinawa. And this last delegation was my fourth time that I went to Okinawa. But I got to tell you the purpose behind the delegations, the veterans delegations to Okinawa. I'm with Veterans for Peace, which is composed of veterans and allies who are opposed to war and militarism. And that's both here in this country and abroad, because we see that we have what we call war at home, as well as war abroad. So it's all we see it's all connected. And one of the ways that we see that we can resist war is by resisting all these over 800 military bases. Depending on how you count them, some people go up to 1,000 all around the world, U.S. military bases. And that's another reason I'm very pleased to be part of the coalition against U.S. Foreign military bases, which Joe just mentioned. So, why Okinawa? Well, Okinawa has had a resistance against this base that they're trying to build at Hinoko on Oro Bay, and we're going to tell you more about that, for 13 years now, a solid resistance. And there is a possibility that that base, the construction of that base can be stopped. And we felt that we wanted to give our support as U.S. veterans to the people who are out there every day blocking the gates and getting carried off by the Japanese police. They don't use Okinawan police because the Okinawan police don't want to do it. 80% of the island's population is dead set against the building of this base, and about 70% of the island's population is opposed to the U.S. bases at all. The U.S. has been occupying Okinawa for some 73 years, since 1945. And you know about the Battle of Okinawa. The Okinawans were sacrificed by the Japanese, and they haven't forgotten that. They haven't forgotten that at all. They're not too friendly towards Japan these days, and since a long time. But the Okinawans lost about a quarter to a third of their population in that battle. And it was quite horrific. And when we went to Okinawa the first couple of times, we visited places that are of historic value, and we spoke to people that still remembered those days. And it is still fresh in many minds there. You know, the people are old, but a little fact, Okinawans live longer than anybody. I don't know why, but they do, and they're great people. They're just great people. And you'll see in the slides and the videos that age doesn't make any difference to resistance, because they are out there. They are out there, all ages, and many older people as well, every day resisting, and they get carried off by the police. So we went to Okinawa to support their movement, to stand in solidarity with them, to speak as U.S. veterans, because they asked us, why are you here? And what we tell them, and some of us were stationed in Okinawa. For one thing, we apologize for when we were part of the occupying force that was there. And the other reason is, this is our struggle as well. This is a global struggle against the most dangerous and destructive force, which is the United States military and the U.S. in general, to life on this planet. So we're joining together globally to resist. And we wanted to do our part as veterans and former members of this U.S. military organization that's doing the oppressing all over the world. So we tell them that, and they ask us, and that's why we went there. This last time we went was very specific, and it was organized rather quickly, because what had happened is the mayor of Nago City, which is where this base and Hinoko is being built, this base that is going to destroy a pristine bay and many of the sea life that is in this bay. The mayor, who was firmly opposed to this, and we had met him twice, was defeated in a recent election. And the reason he was defeated is because the mainland Japanese government poured tons of money into that election and had people on the ground, and they split the town of 60,000. They just split them by the use of the money and the politics and so forth. So he lost the election. Now the election for the governor is coming up also, and the governor has been a stalwart who's been opposed to the construction of the base at Hinoko. I have to tell you why the base is being built, but I will in a second. There's so much to tell about Okinawa, because this is an island that is half the size of Long Island. Okay, that's the size. Now, we all know Long Island is not a huge place, just half the size of Long Island. It has 31 U.S. military bases on it. Practically everyone that lives in Okinawa is right in close proximity to a U.S. military base. And these bases are dangerous. Over the years from 1972, when Okinawa reverted back to Japan, it was under U.S. governance and control prior to that since 1945. But when it reverted back to Japan in 1972, from 1972 to now, there have been over almost 600 violent crimes by U.S. Military personnel that include rapes and murders. And the total of crimes is in the thousands, okay, something like 5,000. This is from 1972. And you imagine if this happened in Albany or Bethlehem or where, you know, if there was an occupying force here and your children were getting raped and people were getting murdered by the people who were occupying you. So the Okinawans are not too keen on the U.S. military there. And the excuse that it's there to defend Okinawa is ridiculous. They say, we don't need your defense. Please, can you go somewhere else? We're fine. We don't need for you to make us a target, is what it actually is. They're being made a target. So, I want to tell you, before we start the good part, which is the slides in the film, I want to tell you why this base is being built. There's another base, there are 31 bases, but there's a base called Futenma, which is an air base. And if you saw a picture of Futenma from the air, you wouldn't believe it, because just off the runway, not very far, there are houses, there is a population, it's a dense population. There are 10 elementary schools right in the vicinity of the base, right surrounding it. There's a college, there's middle schools, and the people live around there. The noise from the jets and the planes and the Osprey 22 helicopters, the most dangerous helicopter in the world, which crashes a lot, is unbelievable. And Futenma has been called the most dangerous air base in the world. And there's no debate about that. So finally, after this last crash, which killed 11 school children, a jet plane crashed into a school a number of years ago, killing 11 school children, 17 people in total, and over 200 were injured. The U.S. realized, okay, we've got to move Futenma. The people just were adamant about it, and also the government. You know, this base has to close. So instead of just closing the base, they decided to move it to Hanoko or a bay, which also the people didn't like, because what's going to happen is they're going to be dumping some 2 million 10-ton dump trucks worth of rocks and gravel and sand into the bay so that they can build a runway that goes a half-mile out into the bay. They're going to destroy this bay. They're going to destroy the entire area, which the people love. You see, the Okinawan people love their land. They have a love for the earth that they live on, which a lot of times we don't see here in this country so much, except for the Native American population. You know, and they're teaching us what it means to love the earth and to respect the earth. But in general, the U.S. and the U.S. government doesn't mean anything to them. So that's the struggle that's been going on, and for the past 13 years, people have been there every day blocking the gates, and they have to get carried off. And you'll see some of that in this picture. So there's so much to say about Okinawa. For me, but I want to show you the slides. I'll talk a little bit more, and it's a great movie. But the resistance there is also something that we learned from, because we saw how these people do resistance day after day after day. They don't give up. They don't stop. It's not just once in a while they organize a protest or a demonstration. But this is every day. People are out there. It's constant. It's continuing. And we learned a lot about resistance. We learned a lot about what it means to be a human being from these people. They're wonderful people. They're highly intelligent. They understand the nature of U.S. imperialism. They understand the nature of U.S. empire better than most of us. But certainly better than the mass of the population here in this country. They get it. They understand what a danger it is. And when we were there, they knew about Standing Rock. And they knew about other places. They know about the resistance on Jeju Island. They know about Palestine. And they feel connected to all of that resistance. There's a connection. So our job, and what we try to do, is enhance that connection and put at least some U.S. citizens and especially military personnel, former military personnel, on the ground, linking arms, so to speak, around the globe and being in solidarity with them. So it was a great experience for us. I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to, hold on, what happened here? Hold on a second. Technology is not my forte. I don't know if anything's my forte, but technology is not it.
Running.
So we're going to, it's going to, here it is. Okay, lights.
Get the lights.
I'm going to show you some slides so you'll get a feeling for what goes on at the gates there and for the beauty of the Okinawan people. That man's Makishi's son. He's part of the Okinawa Veterans for Peace, and he lives there. Okay, some of them I'll go through quickly. That's Doug Loomis in the middle. He's one of the organizers of Veterans for Peace in Okinawa, and that's Doug Hendrick, who was one of my buddies that was with us on this delegation. Here again. This is Hiroshi Yamashiro, who spent over 5 months in prison under charges which I think are totally bogus. But they wanted to take him out of the picture because he is a leader of the Okinawan resistance. And he's out on sort of probation now. He had a trial, found guilty, and got 3 years suspended sentence, but if he gets in any more what they consider trouble, he'll be back in jail. But nonetheless, he's out there organizing. And here he is, that's Bruce Gagnon, Doug, and Judd Hendrick, and he's talking with us about something. These are some of the Okinawan people. These are the Japanese police. These guys are not little either. These guys, they pick some very, very strong and very well-disciplined police. There's Hiroshi again. And these are some, as you can see, Okinawan people. They asked us to speak. They like to hear us speak, and it is such a receptive audience. It's great. We always have a translator, so Judd is speaking about why we're there and what this means to us. This lady, on the 3 delegations before, we were there with a former Force Recon Marine named Mike Haynes. He's a young guy, he's like early 40s. And he was stationed in Okinawa. He was also in Iraq. And he apologized to a crowd of 3,000 people at one time. They got him to speak. And the people just went wild, because when Mike speaks, he speaks directly from his heart. And when he tells about his experience in Iraq, and it was pretty intense in spirit. Force Recon Marine is like the elite Marine, and he was of the Marines, and he was in the elite of the elites. And they were breaking down doors like 2 to 4 times a day. And it bothered him. And he realized, what am I doing? He realized, I'm the terrorist. And he told the people that, and he apologized. The people love him. He's like, they adore him. And this woman came up to me and she said, is Mike here? And it wasn't like just a person asking for it, it was like she was his grandmother. So I told her he wasn't there this time because he's right now hiking the Adirondack Trail. I said, but the next time we come, he'll be with us. And she was very happy. What we're doing here is we're sitting, we're waiting for the trucks to come. When the trucks come, people link arms, and the police and try to remain where they are to block the gate, and the police come and they move us out of there. You could see the crowd. This particular protest, we went there for 6 days of protest. The Okinawans had called for this because of that loss in the election. They wanted to revitalize the resistance, calling for 500 people every day to come out and to strengthen the resistance. So we're waiting. Isn't it a very beautiful Buddhist monk who was there? And he also is Makishi-san again. Okay, this man, let me see the next picture. That man is a paraplegic. There were 5 paraplegic people, and that's his dog. And they were so enthusiastic. They also took part. So nothing stops these people. They're there in their wheelchairs, resisting, and just so happy to be part of it. There he is. Here's a few others. You can see them, 1, 2, 3, right there. And they are fierce in their resistance. And some of the Japanese police on the base. Okay, this young fellow getting dragged away was really amazing, because they would drag him away, and somehow or other he would get away from them, and he kept coming back, and he was unstoppable. This is one of the paraplegic women. You could see the intensity on her face. And they carry them off. They get the wheelchair and everything, carry them off. This means something to them. This is their life. This is their existence. You know, they're fighting for their very lives here. There's Bruce Gagnon being carried off. This woman is a naturalist, and she's a wonderful woman. She's from Yambura Forest, which is the northern area where the Marines do jungle warfare training, and where they have Osprey helicopter pads right in the forest, and they're just devastating the forest, and the noise level is terrible for the people who live there, so there's a lot of resistance up there also. Now, there's the one of the Buddhist monks getting carted away. I don't know if you can see it here, but what they do when they cart the people away is they put them in these sort of pens. And on one side is these, they put the buses and the fences, and then on both ends they put Japanese police so that the people can't get back out. But the people still struggle. There's Dud with a crazy hat on. Some Okinawan woman gave me that hat and he wore it for the whole time. I kept saying, Dud, I can't see your face. I was taking the pictures. There's Dud getting dragged off and enjoying it to a certain degree. These are the trucks. You can see they're lined up for quite a distance that are waiting till the Japanese police clear the gates. And you know, they managed to delay them for 1, 2, 3 hours at a time, and that holds up everything. This is a young student, college student, who took the week off to be part of this. That's another one from the same college. This fellow was a favorite of mine. If you notice his ear, these guys, many of them are martial artists. That's where the ear comes from. But this fellow, I somehow took a number of pictures of him. I liked him because I don't think he liked doing what he was doing. And many of them don't, because we talk to them, the people talk to them, and they explain what they're doing. Here's that young fellow again. being stopped and they're trying to restrain him. And this is the Japanese police, you know, trying to hold the crowd in, where they've got them penned in. They carry them off one by one. And it gets pretty intense. But there's no hatred. There's no, I mean, the people are fierce, and sometimes they yell at the police, but they understand that the police are not their enemy. They understand, and we tell them that. You see this woman again, I like her so much. On the back of it says insect rescue. There she is. Every so often I got my picture taken. As I said, they asked us to speak, and here I'm speaking. And they appreciate the fact that we're there. And Veterans for Peace is well known on the island now in Okinawa. When we first started coming here, we were front page news in all the papers and even in Japan. Because it's very unusual for them to see, here's my friend again, and it's very unusual for them to see former military personnel speaking out against their own government. I mean, it's just, that's one of the military trucks. Here they are blocking the trucks that we walked down the road quite a bit and blocked them before they even got to the base. These are a couple of security guys on the base up on the hill, just watching stuff. Here's your son talking. Here's Doug Loomis. Doug was a Marine who was stationed in Okinawa. He's a professor. He writes books. He's just an amazing guy. He's in his 80s, and he's just terrific. And it's because of Doug that we're able to organize these delegations. That's the construction on Ora Bay. That's part of Ora Bay, and those buoys sort of block off anybody that comes. There's a whole story behind this boat. These boats are former Okinawan fishermen who have been bought off by the Japanese government to sort of watch the area, guard the area, and you can see the guys sleeping. They don't like their job too much, but the Japanese made it impossible for them to continue fishing, so they had no alternative. That's a banner one of our guys made. We usually bring banners with us to Okinawa. So the fierceness of the paraplegic people is terrific. I just love these people. And they're singing. This man's singing. And his humor. And his life. And his happiness. And his resistance. This is a great Japanese... These women are from the mainland. And quite often people from the mainland come to stand with the Okinawans. And they're singing. This is a singing group. And Camp Schwab is the Marine base that's already there. Here we are blocking, some of us are blocking the trucks down the road a piece. Being dragged off. And here's Doug walking back towards the gate after the buses have got through the initial blockers. Doug being restrained. The people and we observe nonviolence. It's all nonviolent resistance, but it's fairly fierce nonviolent resistance. I mean, we struggle. Here's the young fellow again. This guy was just absolutely terrific. He just kept appearing. And then he would ride his bicycle in front of the thing, and they'd grab him and throw him off his bicycle. Okay, this is the last day. And the last day there were so many people, there were over 1,000 people blocking the main gate. that they canceled the trucks coming there. But we went to where they're loading the trucks, which is a dock a little bit away, and we did some resistance there. And it's one of our Veterans for Peace members from Japan. Here he is with his bike, and they're taking him away. This man was arrested with Hiroshi. I just can't think of his name right now. But he runs the local peace center there, right near the base where we hung out quite a bit. Here's my friend again. And here is this young woman talking to one of the Japanese police. We talked to them. Again, I just like this guy for some reason. This man was blind, and he's there with the resistance, and he's singing right now. So it didn't matter if you were blind, if you were old, if you were disabled. They're coming to do what they can to protect their land and the ocean. Some of the Japanese police, I know, were sympathetic to us. And we talk to them. We tell them, we know you have a job. We understand you're not our enemies, but we just want you to think about what you're doing, you know, and who you're working for, which is really the U.S. government. This young Japanese monk was very fluent in English, and he was a translator for me when I spoke. And you could see all the Japanese police. They had hundreds of them. They really mobilized to deal with this. Every day very intense. There you could see the stones that they're destroying a mountain not too far away from it in order to get all this rocks and stones and so forth. We're in a pen with closed off, and the man had this sweetest dog. I'm going fast. Okinawa's beautiful, beautiful country. We also had some great meals. So that was part of it. There's a whole story behind that. This is that fella. He had so much enthusiasm. One of the paraplegic people. This is at the port, and what they do, the trucks come and they load these huge boats full of stone. They got this thing is huge, and picks up the gravel that the trucks, or the stones that the trucks dump, and load it onto the barge. And then the barge delivers it around to the base. Let me do this quickly. So this just gives you an idea of the intensity of the resistance there and what goes on. And I'm sure many of those Japanese police were affected by it. These cars are people who who support the bases. They're either Japanese or Okinawa. They support the militarism of the current militarism of the Abe government in Japan. Abe, who's friends with Trump, and is just almost, well, nothing's as bad as Trump, but they work together. And that's that for the slides. So I hope you got a little sense of what goes on in Okinawa just in those pictures. And you know what? I'm going to take questions and we'll have a little discussion. But I want you to see this remarkable video of mainly Hiroshi Yamashiro, who's a leader of the, and his words are translated, was the leader of the resistance in Okinawa. And I tell you the truth, I have never seen such energy. And he's sick, he's got cancer. He's out there constantly. I've never seen anything like it. And the enthusiasm and the energy that he brings to this struggle, it's amazing. You'll get a little glimpse of him. Trudy.
I think we're waiting for it to warm up.
What happened?
I think we're waiting for it to warm up.
Oh, waiting for it to warm up. So I can take a question if you want.
Waiting for what to warm up?
The projector?
Oh,
Yeah?
I have a question.
Yes.
I was wondering why the U.S. personnel is allowed to be criminal, to be murdering and raping. Why does the military allow that?
The military doesn't quote unquote allow it, but you'd have to put them on lockdown. You know, they're allowed to go out at night, and this is what U.S. military personnel do. You know, they go out to bars, they look for women, you know, they want to have sex, they want to get drunk, they get into fights. You know, this is what, you know, you got a bunch of Marines out there. These are young Marines. This is what they do. And of course, the command doesn't encourage it because it makes the U.S. military look bad. But there's very little that they can do to really stop it. So there have been rapes, there have been murders, and the Okinawan people get furious about it, and they have huge protests about these things. Huge.
Are there any consequences?
The consequences, sometimes there are. Sometimes there are consequences, but quite often there are not, because they're U.S. personnel. So quite often there are not really the kind of consequences that you would think that there should be. You know, it's not like if it happened here. After all, they're only Okinawans. You understand that racism is a big part of all of this. Oh, we have a new screen. Okay.
It's not ready yet. Better take
So
another
we really
question.
got excited about this film.
Yeah, you better
It's
take
only-
another
It's only
question.
12 minutes. Yes, go ahead.
What do you think it would take to get the Japanese police to switch sides and join the opposition?
A lot. A lot. It would take a lot. But the thing is, when you speak to them and when they see what's going on, they'll think about it. And maybe at some time, they will refuse to participate in this. And I'm sure many of them don't like it. And I could see in their faces, many of them were decent people. You know, it wasn't like they were bad people. There were a few that got very intense and really took themselves seriously. But in general, they have to do this. Once you're part of the police and you're sent there, you really have no choice. You always have a choice, but you're going to be ruined if you don't follow the orders. So we understand that. We get it. It'd take a lot.
It would take
But we're
the
planting
one
seeds.
giving the orders to refuse to issue them.
Right.
Yeah.
But we feel that we're planting seeds, and we try to do the same thing with the police here in this country. You know, plant seeds. You know, don't call them pigs.
米軍基地の建設、新たな訓練場の建設、新たな戦闘
So, Trudy, did you figure out how to get these lights or not?
You want the lights on?
No, off, I think, for the movie.
戦闘機や兵器の配備、ミサイルの配備には、誰か反対しています。これ以上の緊張激化をさせてはならないと思います。
何を求めているんでしょうか。
私たち70年前にその日米の決戦場とされ、しかも玉砕戦を強いられました。
Okinawa, Japanese island dominating the approach to the enemy homeland. The last Japanese dugouts are dynamited.
時間稼ぎの、日本へのアメリカ軍の上陸を時間稼ぎするための、持久戦を強いられ、20万人の人々がこの小さな島で亡くなりました。私たちはその教訓を未だに忘れることができません。あの地獄のような戦争が忘れられません。
日本軍の指揮官が何と言ったか覚えているか。国策の犠牲になって普通の陛下を守ると称して沖縄の人間が全て死ぬまで戦えていたのがあの沖縄戦の悲劇だ。戦争になったら真っ先に戦場なのはここなんだよ。いいか、俺たちは君たちは敵とは思ってない。君たちを含めて全ての若者を守りたい。沖縄を二度と戦場にさせないという思いがあるから言ってごらん。78になってもここに立ち続けてる。いいか、格闘するならあの大変だといけない。
この島に150万の人々がおりますが、核戦争の舞台とされたら生きながられることは誰もできないと思います。私たちは有史以来武器を持たないためです。琉球の時代から武器を持たないでアジアに広く貿易に来ました。今、そのことが伝わって戦争の後、アメリカ政府やアメリカ軍はキーストン・オブ・ザ・パシフィックと称して沖縄を軍事の拠点として強化してまいりました。けれども私たちはアジアにおける平和の要とありたい。アメリカの軍事基地がこんな太平洋またいで沖縄に70数年も居座り続けて巨大な米軍基地から発生する事件事故が絶えない。昨年20歳の女性が惨殺される事件が起きました。軍人や軍属が発生せしめる殺人強姦のような大きな凶悪事件、この事件もそうですし、先月起きた、交通事故で働き手を亡くした、家族がいますが、さらにはこの飛行機の落下、もう何より墜落したり炎上したり、そういうことが日常茶飯事に繰り広げられていて、市民の暮らしが、立ち行かないような状況まで今来ています。ひたすらその沈黙と認知を強いられている、そういう状況が続いています。普天間基地をさらに作り変え、最新の基地とする辺野古新基地建設が強行されています。県民はこぞって反対をしております。どのような世論調査をやっても7割、8割の人が反対をしている。サンゴが群生をし、ジュゴンが、ウミガメが泳ぐ、そしていろいろな多種多様な海洋生物が生息をする自然の宝庫と言われている辺野古の海を埋めて 1500m 滑走路が V 字に、重なる200年太陽型の新基地ができるそうです。それを計画しているようです。県知事も名護市長もそして多くの県民が今一致してそのことを声を上げ続けています。県民が反対しているのに、全国の機動隊を 沖縄に送りつけて、抗議する市民を排除し、それでもなお頑強に抵抗する人たちは簡単にあっという間に逮捕され、警察庁の起訴を受けて獄につながる、そういう状況が続いています。70人も80人も逮捕されてしまいました。私も逮捕され5ヶ月の勾留を受け、2年6ヶ月の休憩を受けて、これから最後の裁判に臨むところですが、そのように、反対をする人たちには容赦のない、政府の決意が押されています。でも、この島は私たちの島です。この島は政府のものではありません。この島はアメリカのものでもありません。人々の平和と、そして充実した社会の実現のためにこそ、この島々はあるべきです。どうぞアメリカの皆さん、ご理解ください。
The first thing I want to do is apologize on both knees for not only my actions as a Marine not knowing, but for the Marines and the American military that do not know what they're doing.
My name is Miles Megasite. I was stationed on Camp Schwab from 94 to 95, and I wrote this song, Nuchidu Sakara, for the people of Okinawa and the resistance movement.
All life is a treasure. Listen, all life is precious. Shut them down forever. Shut these faces down forever. Yeah, I was stationed at Camp Schwab in 95, and I remember our presence impeded a normal life. I mean, on the island, Marines relaxed by fucking wildin'. Come on, drinking and fighting was our way of socializing. So now I work towards vocalizing the way I feel properly. I mean, now that I am no longer government property, I hope and pray it's not impolite of me to say this. I'm truly sorry for my service. It makes your freedoms weighted. Nuchidu Takara, Nuchidu Takara, no Nutrima, Monogo Bay feeds us. Nuchidu Takara, Nuchidu Takara, any beats you measure, Okinawa is all together. Nuchidu Takara, Nuchidu Takara.
It's not the legal word! For Okinawa! This is for Okinawa! Okinawa deserves peace!
This is Okinawan land. It does not belong to the Japanese. It does not belong to the American people. They have no right to destroy it.
Nuchidu Takara, no Nutrima, Monogo Bay feeds us. Nuchidu Takara, Nuchidu Takara. Any beats you measure, Okinawa is all together. Nuchidu Takara, Nuchidu Takara. All life is a treasure. Let's say all life is precious. Nuchidu Takara, Nuchidu Takara. Shut them down forever. Shut their faces down forever.
私も父親があるいは親戚がみんな基地の中で働いていた関係で、子供の頃から小さい頃からたくさんの若い兵士たちを自宅に招いて、正月やお盆やいろいろ楽しみをしたところです。その、若い生たちがベトナム戦争に行くという話を聞き、帰ってこなかったという話を聞いて胸を痛めたものです。私たちは県民の基地の外で基地の被害を受けているものとして、あるいは基地の中にいてさまざまな圧力と矛盾と、そして力の行使の中で自らも信金をして苦しんできた人たちとが連携をできるっていうのは、本当に沖縄県民にとってはもうこれ以上にない感激的な出会いだという今日そういう感じがしています。しかもその皆さんが隊として遠いアメリカから毎年のようにやってきてくれるということを本当に嬉しく思います。アメリカはやっぱり帝国ですよ。世界中に張り巡らされた帝国基地、殺戮大量兵器が5万と山積みされているはずです。僕は世界を支配しているかと思います。今、朝鮮のミサイル基地を理由に世 戦争を辞さないような構えで朝鮮に圧力をかける、もう戦争は前夜のような思いがいたします。戦争を開始するのは簡単かもしれませんが、収めることはできません。ぜひ、この70年前、自国とされた沖縄からアメリカの皆さんにお願いいたします。戦争を止めましょう。戦争に入ってはなりません。憎悪ではない、愛と友情が満ち溢れる世界を作ろうじゃないですか。そのことを私たちも訴えています。ぜひ、アメリカの皆さんとまた、いつか、先を組み交わすような交流ができればと思っています。よろしくお願いいたします。We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We shall overcome someday.
So, that film moves me every time I see it. Sometimes when people ask me why I go back to Okinawa again and again, I say that because I fell in love. I fell in love with people, and it's the truth. See, beautiful people they are, and how much they're struggling for peace. If we all struggle like that, we will have peace, and they're setting an example for us. We're grateful to be able to go there and keep going. Solidarity. We also sent teams to Palestine, and it's very moving also. It's all connected. All connected. All together. Now we're in a time, I feel, I think we're in a time in history unlike any other time. We're approaching the edge of a cliff that if we go over, there's no return. And life on earth is in the balance. And it really takes every one of us that really cares about peace, that cares about our children, that cares about our four-legged relatives and our winged relatives and the relatives we have in the ocean, to just do everything that we can. And sometimes people ask me, they say, well, Tarak, what can I do? Actually, this was an interview that I had, and they say, what can we do? And I say, what you can do is you can ask yourself that very question, because inside of yourself is the answer, and you'll know what to do. But it's a question of whether you want to follow that advice that you get from your conscience or your soul or your inner being, whatever you want to call it. But each one of us is important in this struggle. And the other thing is, nobody can stop this alone. So we need to work together. We need to rebuild community. And I thank Bethlehem Neighbors for Peace for all the great work that they do, and also Joe with UNAC. UNAC has brought many organizations together to work for peace and against war. So we need to come together. We need to work in community. We need to work together. We need to have solidarity with the Okinawans, with ourselves, with everybody that's resisting this militarization and this war making. We just need to do it in every way that we can. And I know you all are. I'll say one last thing. If you have any questions. I have This book is what Okinawa wants you to understand about U.S. military bases. So naturally, you're going to forget some of what I said here and what you saw. But if you want one of these, I have some of them at home, and you can take my email address, and I'll be happy to mail you one. Just email me and say, Tarak, I was at the talk, and I'd love to get that booklet about Okinawa. And you can educate yourself. You can also educate yourself online if you have, computers. There's a lot of information there. And just let's all do what we can to stop this madness. It's not too late. It's not too late. So the Okinawans don't give up. They still have hope. And we need to have hope also, even though we have a lunatic running around the White House, but still, all things pass. Well, thank you all very much.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I mentioned when I introduced Tarak that we were on a conference call. It was a conference call for the Coalition Against U.S. Foreign Military Bases, and we held a conference in Baltimore in January. And we're holding another conference, this one in Ireland. I hope some folks can come with us. We will both be there. One of the reasons we're doing it in Ireland is because you can't have an international conference in the United States anymore because people can't get into the United States. And so the man you saw there, Hiroji, we wanted to try to tour him because he just got out of jail after several months for the protests that you saw. And he was going to come to the United States and we were going to tour him around places and so forth. But then he learned he probably can't get into the country. So the tour was canceled. Hopefully he can come to Ireland, and some of the folks from Okinawa will also be there, but all of them. I mean, in the U.S. news, you hear about demonstrations in Nicaragua, you hear about demonstrations in Venezuela, you hear about demonstrations in places where the U.S. doesn't like the government. But you don't hear that every single day these people are coming out in Okinawa and protesting the U.S. base and blocking it. And all around the world there are anti-U.S. demonstrations that take place on a regular basis because the United States has 20 times the number of foreign military bases as all other countries in the world combined. We are have military in 172 countries. And there's protests against that all the time. But you don't hear about that anywhere news. And I really do believe it's just a kind of candle in the dark. That if American people saw the video and saw the kind of work that Vets for Peace have done and saw the kinds of protests that are taking place in Okinawa, that we could really stop it. So it's our job to really help to get this information out.
I agree with you totally, Joe.
When's the conference in Ireland, Joe?
It's going to be in November. It'll be over a weekend, and then some of us will stay a day or two longer and go down to Shannon Air Base. Now, Shannon Air Base is in Ireland, and it's where the U.S. sends its military, lands in this air base, and then that's the stopping point, and then it spreads the military all over into the place. So there's a lot of military stops there. So they protest every week at that base in Shannon. And when we go to Ireland,
it's not actually a base.
It's actually a civilian airport.
It's a civilian airport, and Ireland is supposed to be a neutral country. They're not, but this is against their constitution. They've had 2.5 million U.S. troops have gone through Okinawa on the way to Iraq, Afghanistan, wherever. Also, they've had rendition flights go through there. And this is just totally against the Irish Constitution, but of course the U.S. pushes this through, and the government of Ireland has not done anything to stop it, but it's illegal under their own law.
So the Irish Peace Movement, which is sponsoring this conference along with our No Basis Coalition, protests there all the time and gets arrested, similar to what you saw on a number of occasions. In fact, not too long ago, they had a very famous woman who was a Nobel Peace Prize winner just walked out onto the base and tried to sit in front of one of the planes. She was arrested. So we'll go down there too. So it would be wonderful if some folks
You see a lot of
this community,
Americans.
Neighbors for Peace, and other peace activists from here could take a trip, and I'll be going over too. We could take a trip together and join this conference in November and see a little bit of Ireland.
Yeah, join UNAC, if you're not already, or Bethlehem Neighbors for Peace, and you get to, the other benefit about doing this work, this resistance work, is you just get to hang out and meet some wonderful people who are not getting paid to do what they do, and doing it out of the goodness of their heart because they want to keep this planet and life on this planet alive for future generations. So, yeah, thank you.
I was amazed by their compassion for
The
the
police, wasn't that beautiful?
I mean, I couldn't believe it, you know.
It's important.
I know I'm only, I get really mad at people. It's not nice.
You know, I have been arrested.
But I'm just saying, but there's some place else that they're at a higher level.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's good for people just to be, you know, okay with it. But
Well, they're not.
But I'm just saying, no, they're not.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I think it's not great for people just to be passive about it. But a lot of times I just get really, really, really angry. And then but I think the higher ground is to look at that and say, they're not my enemy. We gotta
It's
draw them
important
in
because
here.
ultimately, you want the police and military to stop, you know, to stop doing what they're doing, to refuse orders at some
Yeah.
point, you know. And they won't do that if you always treat them like the enemy. You know, you gotta appeal to their conscience, appeal to their souls, to their hearts. And, you know, I'm sure that many of these police, when they go back home, they talk about it. And they don't like what they have to do. And someday, you know, they will stand down. They will just stand down. And so I feel the same way about New York policemen, you know. And I've been arrested in New York a number of times for civil disobedience, also in other places. And, you know, I treat the police like human beings. I'm firm. You know, sometimes because they know I'm a veteran, so we get a little extra special treatment. They say, you guys want to get arrested? I say, no, we don't want to get arrested, but we have a right to be here. We have a right to say what we do. We have a right to speak out. We have a right to stand here. This is not our business getting arrested. We're not here to be arrested. That's your business. You do what you have to do. We're doing what we have to do. And we can't.
How many of the police are native Okinawans? Are they mostly brought
None
in
of them.
None of them?
No, they're all from the mainland. Native Okinawans won't do that.
Yeah,
You know.
that's what happens.
They have some native police that come, but they're not the ones who are picking up people and carrying them off,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, that's the story. And thank you all for being here. Do we have more? Don't forget, each one of you was representing 25, so we had a good crowd.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
That's